What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremiah. If you've just come from my Q&A video over on my YouTube channel, yes, this is what I look like. I'm sorry, I'm not an old guy. But thank you to everybody who's coming out to participate in the show this week.
Wait, how do you think you're not an old guy? Maybe they think you're older than they thought you were.
That's true. That's true.
They could have thought you were a young guy.
I did accidentally, when I meant to open up Audition to check my recording, I accidentally clicked on Illustrator, so my main screen will be unavailable for a minute or two while Adobe plays the whole "Wouldn't you love to see our new splash screen while we take over all of your system RAM" game.
Now, are you recording video? Because I know the last time by accident you didn't.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I am recording video. But this is the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast. A podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. This is episode one.
That peaked.
Peaked?
It's all right. It's all right.
This is episode...
Jeremiah's just trying to stay awake after his long day at a real job.
Pretty much. All right. The real job
I was like, he's more tired. I reminded him just because, a real man's job, you got to get tired at the end of the day because you've been doing a lot of work.
Really? You're going to call what we do a real man's job? Sitting in an office, playing with shapes and colors on a computer screen?
I know. Guys,
Joel,
see this funny video about cats?
You're pretty much shirtless in suspenders swinging an axe. That's pretty much your job. Like, didn't you spend a significant portion of your job last week shopping for couches to best outfit your cubicle?
It's a minimalistic look. Minimalistic. Very important.
This is episode 179. There's no significance with that other than we've been doing this a real long time. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We record the podcast live Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. The 1 week off, we record Casual Shenanigans Tech. If you have computer build questions and you want me and Dave's help, write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com, just like you can to be a part of the main podcast. So this week, we're going to start the show like we always do with the main topic.
There's no song.
I thought somebody was going to make a noise. I was just waiting, giving them time to sing or do whatever. So our main topic this evening is going to be on the staying power of games. And this is an idea Joel came up with. So Joel, when you say the staying power of games, what are you referring to?
Okay. Well, it actually the idea came from, I saw a news article about EA talking about Titanfall 2. And they were just saying, they're responding to basically, everyone knows the game. There's not a lot of people playing the game. Like, legitimately, there's not a lot of people playing the game, which is sad because it is a phenomenal game. I've really enjoyed playing it. But anyways, EA, the team, they were responding to a lot of the criticism saying, like, everyone's like, why'd you release it now? It's not doing well, blah, blah, blah. They think that it still is doing good. Like, and they didn't say, it didn't do what we expected. But, what they said is basically they think they do have some staying power with the game, that they see it as a game that can sell for a good long time. I was thinking, I don't think so. I think it has a longer staying power than Titanfall 1 because it has a single player campaign. So I think, down the road, like 2 years from now, you might still want to buy it. Yeah, you still might want to buy it just because there's a campaign, even if there's not like a group playing online or anything with it. But anyways, it came from the idea. The idea of the staying power of games is, I think it's interesting that there's certain games that can kind of stand the test of time, that it doesn't matter when you play them, you just kind of consider it as, I don't know, like the graphics don't feel like they age as much, or the gameplay doesn't feel like it's aged much because it's just a good game. And there's certain games that I feel like go with the wayside really quick, where they're really popular for a couple months, just hugely popular, and then they just kind of fade because that's like, especially I think because maybe multiplayer or online connectivity and that kind of stuff enhance or make the game experience. So when that's kind of done, or they're closed the servers, essentially that game is kind of done. And in a way, I feel like you're not going to make that many more sales, because how do you make sales for a game that you really can't play? So I just thought we could just open discussion about some games you think do have a staying power and why they do have it and why maybe others don't, and if that's a good or bad thing. So if you don't want, I'll start it off.
Sure.
One was Eric from work. He just started. He never got to play Super Mario 64, and he just
really
he just got through it. he got an N64 and he played through the whole game. And
Oh, he played through
yeah.
on the original system too.
Yeah. John
Oh,
Carlo,
that's
I think,
awesome.
went over to his house and he just watched him play through the whole thing. And I was just asking about it. And he's just like, that was a fantastic game. He was like, man, that game was amazing. But I was asking him a few questions about it because, I mean, I think it's a really good game too. But I was curious to know, like, how did it feel playing such an older game now? And what I found was fascinating is that it didn't feel old at all. Like outside of, like, you notice a little bit of graphics, but because the game held up so well in gameplay, everything else, it just felt like, oh, I'm just going to play a really good game on this different system as opposed to a computer or or a regular console or something like that. It was just like, oh, it's a great game, play it, good to go. And I was just thinking, I feel like certain games have an extreme amount of staying power that it doesn't really matter when you play them, they're good. And that got reinforced when I recently installed Left 4 Dead 2 just to try it out again. I was like, holy crap, this game still looks really good. Like, and I was trying to think, like, do I just have like good memories from it? Like, is this nostalgia? I was like, no, it was like the art style, however they built the game, it just held together so well that it's like, you can kind of just get it any time. That and like Portal, those kind of games, they just hold together so well that it's like, I wonder how much they sell still now today, years and years and years after the game is out. I just thought that was, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of interesting that certain games have that, and maybe games like Call of Duty, especially now, where it's just like, you get it while the multiplayer's good. As soon as the multiplayer kind of goes away, it's like, oh, that's kind of old news, almost like, I don't know, you guys would understand more, but like a meme or just a joke. It's like, or a song that's been played too many times on the radio. It's kind of like, oh, it plays so much, you're like, I don't want to hear it anymore. But every time like a legit Michael Jackson tune comes on, you're like, holy crap, this is a good song. I'm ready to hear
Not
this.
those knockoff Michael Jackson tunes. The legit ones only.
Yeah.
Don't buy your Michael Jackson from eBay, guys.
But enough about me. Any else thoughts?
No, I agree with what you're saying. Like, I talk about Age of Empires 2 a lot, and about how I think it's just one of the best balanced RTSs of all time. It's just a classic game. And one of the reasons I think it has staying power is the visuals were a little bit dated when it came out. Like, I thought it was cool in 1999, but there were 3D games then, and this is still sprite based. So like that part, it doesn't look great. It didn't look great then, but it hasn't aged that bad. So like the art style isn't so bad. It's not like some of the early 3D games where you go back to play them now and it's like painful. Like to me, like looking at the original Metal Gear Solid, still a classic game, but it's painful, like moving through the environment just because it's so like jittery and stuff, I think the N64 did a lot better job at that than the PlayStation did. All my memories of PlayStation games are just like jittery, like pixelated messes. But Age of Empires 2, so I think it still holds up totally fine because of what it is. But then like a game that wouldn't hold up as well is maybe like Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty games get replaced every year, and most Call of Duty games have been really good, but they keep pushing them forward and improving every year, and it's rare that one of them just completely like throws everything on its head, and it's so much better that people are like, oh, this is still the benchmark. Modern Warfare is a good example. When Modern Warfare Remastered came out this past year, so many people went back to that and were playing that over Infinite Warfare saying, but like everything that made this game great is still great. Well-balanced weapons are still well-balanced when you come back to them 10 years later. Like if they were balanced then and you don't mess them up, they're balanced now. Awesome maps are still awesome maps. It's not like that great map design is still great map design. I think that's why Super Mario 64 is so great, or Mario 64. It's so cool the way they did platforming before everybody else got a chance to hop in there and mess it up doing other stuff, that it's still good. You can feel like that whimsical wonder or whatever that they put into the game. And that game will always be a classic in one way or the other, even though if you go look at a newer Mario game, which probably a lot of the newer 3D ones haven't sold quite as well, even if they sell well, they're not Mario 64, even if some of them haven't sold as well, you can say like, well, they're still like the controls have been more refined. They've added better graphics. They've got more features, blah, 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 but they maybe don't get the right combination of everything that makes the game classic. So I don't know. I mean, what type of games do you guys think that you've played that you think are just classics you can go back to whenever?
I think Zelda: Link to the Past is one of those games that just you can
I was going to
instantly
say the
pick up.
exact same.
And someone who's not played the games, not played the top down, can pick it up and just, because there's exploration, because everything just kind of falls together in the game. It's really easy to pick up and play. And even though I think Ocarina of Time is really dated feeling now. Once you get past like the initial hour of looking at the the really bad graphics at this point, I think it becomes so familiar that it feels like it belongs, more recently. And I think go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry.
I think a game that's gonna have that kind of same effect in the future would probably be something like Rocket League, to where it'll always just be fun to pick up and play.
Yeah.
Even if it's 10 years from now, you could still sit down and play. It's like, man, this was a fun game.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing about Rocket League. I was playing last night with Dave, and I played it recently with John as well. And we were thinking, I was like, I feel it's gonna be interesting to see when this game, if it ever feels really dated, because even for me, N64 doesn't feel dated in the same way that like Metal Gear Solid or certain games that are like we're pushing the edge of graphics, but now you look at them, they're like it looks pretty terrible, or it's like really hard to play because just the way it is. I think certain art styles like have this kind of like it just is what it is, and it just like works really well, even though it is low resolution or low polygon. There's certain games that just like, I don't know, like you can quickly see past certain graphics as just, oh, that's that game, because like 2D graphics, like you know what I mean, like you can play an old NES game and you'll go, oh, these are like, I don't know, it's like low res graphics. That's just how 2D games are in a way. So it's like it looks good, like because they're still making 2D games now that are still pixely, and it's just funny. It's like, I think if a game's made really well, I think it reminds me the same way like certain movies, when they like show certain cell phones on screen, unless it's supposed to be a period piece for me, I always think it sucks when they add certain phones, because I go, oh, in 3 years or 4 or 5 years, the movie feels so dated. Like it was the movie with Harrison Ford. He's like a computer hacker or whatever, and the bad guy has this phone and they're hacking into stuff with like a BlackBerry, and it was just like the really early ones. It's like, oh, it's just like the rest of the movie looks like it's like a modern day film because it's shot really well. But then it gets to those parts, you're like, it looks so bad. As opposed to like, I don't know, watching like a movie that's set in the 20s, you don't go, oh, these are old haircuts. Like, well, it makes sense because it's the 20s. But sometimes like when you try to add like futuristic devices that don't really exist, it feels really dated, at least to me. And I wonder if they're almost in the same way in games if they do certain things like that.
I think all the original Mario games still hold up really well because the level design was so good and the mechanics of it were so good that anybody could pick up a Mario game now and play it. And, looking at obviously the graphics are super pixelated, but I think you stop caring after the first 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. Of course I grew up on that, so I have that nostalgic connection with it, but I still think they're accessible enough to anybody.
Did you guys ever read? I'll have to send it to you if I can find it again. There was this guy who did a test with his kids. He didn't like. There's some people that like make kids play like the old graphics games first, and they play the new graphics, and like, I don't know, to like appreciate, to make sure they appreciate some of the older games he played. It. Yeah, or maybe like it's to me, I guess it's like the equivalent of like giving a kid dessert first and then they don't really want to eat broccoli later, But he did the test of just allowing them to play a really amazing graphics, games, and then they went right back to NES and Atari, and he just found it was just fascinating that the kids like did not care whatsoever. Like if it was a good game, they just liked it. If it was a game they were able to play, they liked it. Like the graphics had literally no sway on the kids, preference. And I thought that's kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to try that like on an 8-year-old. But by the time that they probably played everything or played a bunch of stuff or gotten used to phones or whatever. But I thought that was kind of fascinating.
You guys have already mentioned Link to the Past and Age of Empires 2, two of the ones I was going to mention. I actually played Link to the Past on Joel's, I think it was your Wii U, Joel? Mm-hmm. Or whichever one, it was like on the controller or whatever. I begged
Joel to play it. I was like, dude, you've got to try it. This is the game you got to try on your Wii U.
Link to the Past, I played probably an hour of it when we were on vacation, and I was like, I got to stop because I will play through the entire game again. It holds up so well. Yeah. That's what I said. It was great. Outside of those two games, though, I think Halo holds up super well. The original Halo,
yeah,
it's new enough 3D where it doesn't look terrible, and it's so well balanced that it's just still fun to play. I last played the original Halo just a couple of years ago, and it was still so much fun.
The multiplayer is actually still really fun.
Yeah.
Pico has
it's
an
fun to have
original.
the. Oh, really?
Xbox. Yeah. He has the original fat controller too. We were playing Halo last time when he was still in town. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of cool. I was like, oh man, I remember playing this game, and I was like, it looked pretty good. It was not bad at all.
Yeah.
And then like I forgot like they had the white and black little buttons on the Xbox controller. The white one was like for the flashlight. I thought that was so cool. It was like, oh, white's like turn the flashlight on. I thought that was so cool.
I was talking about this with you, Joel, when you mentioned the topic idea. One that might be like one type of game that might seem a little counterintuitive when you're talking about this is Sims. It's like we can laugh about like all the clunky things in Arma or Daisy, if you call Daisy a sim, an early access sim. Arma or Train Simulator or Farming Simulator, or, you know, the serious simulators, not the simulators that are like Goat Simulator or something. And people still play Arma too. And the graphics are worse than just about every other shooter, like that still has an online community for the most part, you know, but they don't care because the graphics weren't amazing for very long after the game released the first time around. But they like it because it has all the features they want. They've got it modded the way they want. They have their online community. They've got their hierarchy of whatever. And the game's graphics never really factor into it. So unless like a new version of the game comes out that plays so radically different that they just can't go back to it, why would they ever move on? You know, like, is the game still fun? Does it still facilitate the type of fun you want to have? Like, you could play Rocket League if you were just like a box and the ball was just like a ball with no textures. Like, the core gameplay of Rocket League is fun. The graphics aren't really going to matter, you know? They come out with a Rocket League 2. What are they going to make better about the game?
Yeah,
hopefully they could, but like that game is still going to be good even when the graphics are old, because that's not what they're pushing.
Yeah, I wonder if something like Rocket League, if there ever actually will be a Rocket League 2. It's one of those things where I wonder, even as a developer, you go, I don't know if we should ever do that, other than just
I think that, I don't know. Well, you say that, but Team Fortress 2 was definitely the right decision for Valve. But you think Rocket League, unless they start selling a ton of DLC, like they can't just keep the studio open working on it forever with no sort of
Please
fees,
do.
But there's a lot of stuff to they're selling. I mean, they're making so much money.
No, they are,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like how long? Like 10 years from now, will they still be selling little DLC packs for Rocket
don't
League?
know.
It's possible, but I'm saying like there's
Team Fortress 2 is doing that.
there's very few games that are able to pull
Never
it
tell
off
me the
for that long.
That's what they say.
I think DayZ is going to be timeless just because it's going to expand most of our lifetimes.
Just like Star Citizen,
Just waiting to come out.
Star Citizen's going to keep raising money and keep making the graphics better and keep adding features. And it's like one of those things where it gets so close to release. What's that type of it's an exponential curve, but it gets closer and closer and closer to an absolute number that it can never actually reach it. You know what I'm talking about?
It's like trying like go half the distance between you and a wall and keep doing half distance. You're never gonna touch the ball.
That's Daisy.
I bet Star Citizen, they're both kind of like, no, we're waiting for Star Citizen to release, then we'll release our Epic. And they're both doing the same thing. They're just going to be developing forever.
Dude, I kickstarted Star Citizen in I think 2010,
Oh my
2011. Maybe.
Oh my
God.
Holy crap.
I mean, anyway.
I still believe.
Joking aside, I would say the original Tony Hawk 1 and 2, I think, are still hold up really well. They didn't really change that much in the other games other than making the maps a lot more complicated, and I think it kind of took away from some of the charm of the original. But if you sit down and play now, the mechanics still are pretty fun. The music's time period based, but I like that music. So.
Yeah, that's the same reason. That's one of the main reasons I like it. It's music that was relevant when I was playing it. I played it when I did my PS2 emulator video last year. I played some Tony Hawk 3, I think. And 3 to me still slots in the same thing. Like, I didn't play much of 1. I played a lot of 2, a lot of 3, and that was about it. But still going back to playing it, I was like, oh, man. Like, the gameplay is just still good, and it's so simple. It's before the game was so popular that they felt like they had to do everything in the kitchen sink, which I think is what it was.
Every game now have to have like 4,000 achievements.
Not every game now.
5
Not every
billion
game now.
collectibles.
There's still plenty of games like Rocket League where they're like, no. Or like Shovel Knight would be a good example of like, nope, this is the game. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you like this, you're going to love it. You don't like this, that's okay.
Do you guys remember the PS1 discs or certain ones you could put in your CD player and play the music soundtrack? I think Tony Hawk, you could do that. You might have had to have like one of those CD players that could read like MP3 files, maybe. But I thought that was so cool. Bringing your Tony Hawk game with you, like listen to the jam.
I had my my Age of Empires Gold Edition. It includes all the DLC. You could pop that CD into your boombox. My boombox, mind you, with the super bass button. My Sony. Oh yeah,
Badass.
Super bass.
and the first
Not at all a
first,
marketing thing.
the first track was just clicking because it was all the data, I think, and then all the tracks after that were just music tracks, and I could just me and my brothers would be playing with action figures, listening to the Age of Empires like.
Dude, I did the same thing. My favorite one was like ooh or the walla walla or whatever it is, the walla walla.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw
but it's
Super
like, okay,
Metroid in there too.
I used to fall asleep actually to the Age of Empires theme, like some of the longer, like, you know, just working music or whatever. But but the CD at the end, it would go to the sound every once in a while. Like if I did on shuffle, oh my gosh, it woke me up into like a nightmare. I like fell asleep and it's like.
Good memories.
What are some games that had like no staying power? Like what are some examples of games where like imagine you shoot a gun and the bullet just like doesn't even fall all the way out of the barrel, like it halfway comes out of the barrel and just stops and is just like laying there like, oh
No
man.
Man's Sky.
Do you remember that
man.
Street Fighter game that was based on like real looking characters?
No. What's that? What was that called?
Which Street Fighter was that?
Street Fighter real.
Street Fighter HD.
Well, I heard Street Fighter V was supposed to look realistic, but I didn't think they actually did it. Was it the actual one that released?
Yeah, it was. It started out in the arcades. I think it came to a console. I have to look it up. Fighter games.
I know one game that didn't last very well.
And if the chat knows, please answer.
The CSG game I made. Didn't have any lasting power.
Even I haven't finished it. I'm in it.
Yeah, Dave, you've not played it? Oh, you jerk.
He has to space it out over a year or two, just like Firewatch. How's Firewatch coming
Dave,
along,
you need
Dave?
to
How's
freaking
Alien Isolation coming along, Dave?
Just fine.
How have you not played that? You need to play that. You owe me that.
I played the first hour with you watching, remember?
We need to play the second hour.
All right, it was based on Street Fighter the movie, which the games did really well with just animated art. How can I link to you, Jeremiah? I want you to see what this game looked like.
Send to me through the
GroupMe?
live, the GroupMe thing.
All right, where is that?
Oh, that sounds great.
I mean, Mortal Kombat had the real looking characters, but it worked for them just because it was so gruesome and stuff. Oh, this is so bad.
Oh, a video. Okay, 1 second. I will. Do you want me to share it with everybody?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, 1 second.
They don't have to watch the whole 30 minutes. Just scrub through it.
Oh, is this the actual movie?
No, this is the game based on the movie.
Game based on the movie.
But it was an arcade game, and then it was a Sega Saturn game, and then a PlayStation game.
All right, 1 second. Hold on. Everybody's getting treated to a lot of really loud noise because the thing wouldn't mute properly.
Ah.
All right, I'm getting it set up. I'm going to scrub. Okay. All right, 1 second. All right, it's loading. That's what I'm showing people on the screen right now.
Okay.
All right, so it's like there's sprites made out of pictures of real people.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. All right.
That sounds disturbing.
Yeah, you guys will be able to see it on the stream in just a second. I mean, it doesn't look significantly worse than other sprite-based things, but it looks a lot worse than Street Fighter's normal art style,
Yeah, well, I mean, all the other Street Fighter did really well in that time period.
Yeah.
And then this came out and it just fell really flat, and the movie was awful.
All right. That's enough of that. Okay, but you guys have any other thoughts on games with staying power? Any others that just
list any more that don't have staying power?
Yeah.
I think we only
you got any
listed 2.
I'm trying to think.
You make it
Probably a bunch of
Jeremiah,
Wii
you
U
okay?
games, but I can't think of them.
Actually, the Wii U games are still pretty fun.
It's pretty fun, but as far as like coming out, no one carrying and them dying instantly, Wii U would be a good one for that because the install base
I
was
know.
so small.
Wii Music.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Are you serious? Okay, look up Wii Music. You gotta look up Wii Music drummer during the E3 keynote.
Is this like a ripoff of Guitar Hero?
No, it's literally like orchestrate your own music with Wii remotes. So you can play guitar, violin, and stuff. They thought it was gonna like revolutionize music in like schools and stuff. It was so funny.
Just like Wonder Book was going to revolutionize reading. All right, yeah, I'm watching the 2008 E3 thing of the guy with the spiky hair playing fake drums with remotes.
That lasted for like a second.
Wow, man, 2008 fashion was something.
Well, it is a gaming conference, so
That's true.
I would I want to add all the Sega CD games that had like the FMV based games where you went between like basically almost point and click type things and then real video, but it was like
Yeah.
so grainy and pixelated. And it had like the weird compression on the audio to get it to fit on the CD. It was pretty bad. Those that didn't fly very long.
I can't think of any others right now.
That's the thing. That's kind of the problem. It's like saying, oh, movies these days are so much worse than old movies. It's like, no, you just remember the really awesome movies. Like, the ones that really sucked, they came out, it happened, you don't remember anything about them again, you know? And it's the same thing with games.
I think there's a little bit more of blockbuster movies coming out nowadays than there were. Like, yeah, there were horrible movies back then too as well. But I think the sadder part about like movie going experiences now is because it's such a gamble now. There's a lot less movies taking risks or able to be greenlit to take risks and stuff. So I think the really fantastic movies are a little bit more in the not independent, but just more of like obscure movies, but they don't get much money to get promoted as opposed to like big tentpole like Marvels and stuff like that. There's a lot more of those type of movies now than there ever been compared to back then. But yeah, I think partly some.
I don't think we've had a single zombie survival game that's had any staying power at this point.
Have we had one that's released?
Yeah,
Well, no. I mean,
Nether.
zombie survival game. Like, I mean, that would include Dying Light, technically. Like, it's more of an action game, but you mean
Online,
like?
yeah, like.
Oh, Dave, what is it? The Four Horsemen? The Four Horsemen of gaming? What was that you were saying today?
the four horsemen of the apocalypse of games is early access, survival, open world, crafting. The four horsemen of the gaming apocalypse.
Crafty.
What about skins?
Speaking of which, have you guys heard about this new sweet skin gambling website that I stumbled across randomly?
Lost we every time, Dave. Every time.
I need those referral links, man.
Any other games?
It's like
Just everything that failed. Just failed. And we don't
It's
care
like-
about it.
those games that remind me of like the crappy sodas that came out, like they're trying new things, like Pepsi Clear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gone
Or
immediately.
Pepsi Blue.
Yeah,
Or a bunch of the Mountain Dews that like never, like Code Red, popular. Livewire, little bit. Baja Blast, of course, if you're at Taco Bell, gotta get some Baja Blast.
Gotta.
All the others, do you remember the white one? Turns out white milky soda liquids are weird and people don't want them. Did you guys ever try the Steven Seagal energy drink?
Oh gosh.
Oh, you need to hear Mark. I can't tell this story. You need Mark to tell the story of the Steven Seagal energy drinks. All I'll say was
I
they
didn't
were
Google
$1.
anything but just Steven Seagal. I'm like, I don't see sodas.
I don't think he's known for his energy drinks, but the only way I can describe this $1 per can energy drink is it tasted fuzzy. Like it tasted like I was drinking something furry.
Well, okay,
Let me see if I can find him.
It said, yeah, I found it. Steven Seagal Lightning Bolt. And there's a quote on it. It says, "A natural energy drink packed with vitamins and exotic botanicals." Okay.
I didn't think of Steven Seagal right there.
And then there's right below it, there's this, "Yep, this effer released a CD too." That came with every drink. Oh, speaking of drinks, segueing to challenges, while I was in the grocery store the other day.
Is that a section of the podcast? Challenges? No. All right.
I was in the grocery store and I saw there's a tiny bottle of clam juice. I'm like, what in the world? And then I was like, okay, how much would you need to drink that?
I already told you I drink a thing of Worcestershire.
It was like half the size of a Life Water bottle.
I don't want to do that.
Well, since you chickened out on the fulfilling your 150th episode eating Cadbury eggs again.
Oh, that's how we're gonna remember it, is chickening out. That's how I remember that conversation.
Remember when you almost killed yourself live on the air for our entertainment?
Well, I told you I almost died drinking a thing of Worcestershire sauce, and you're like, "You would be great, clam juice."
Joel, have you ever had fish oil? Like,
yes, I've had a.
How much would you need to like
break open one of those capsules and
chew on them? Like put a mouthful and then start chewing in your mouth.
My mom used to make me take like spoonfuls of it like once a day. That was just pure nightmare.
I mean, either you have to chew on it or you have to, swallow it. Which one do you think would be worse?
Fish oil gummies.
Eat an entire bag. Let's see if there is. Is there fish oil gummies?
Please don't. No, I don't want to. Please don't.
Oh, for adults. Oh, there are.
Adult
for adult,
gummies. What
is that?
All right.
Oh, but wait. Okay, they're orange, lemon, and strawberry. That doesn't sound bad. I want one that are just straight raw. Fish oil.
Straight raw.
Okay, natural made fish oil adult gummies, 90 count. I
love when you see.
I feel greasy just thinking about it. Ugh.
I love when you see fish oil on the shelf and it says burpless fish oil. Your product's that bad where you have to make a burpless version?
How do you make a burpless version? Isn't that down to the person eating it?
You can't make me not burp. I'll burp if I feel like it.
you like try to. You're like, oh, it comes out of your mouth and it's like, whoop, sucks back in. Oh,
that's even worse.
Something's wrong with you, Joel.
That's what my mom said too.
Oh.
Today.
During the intervention.
All right.
She sent him a text during the podcast.
No, that's just you, James.
Oh.
Sending text during the podcast. That's what I meant. I didn't mean all the other mean things that you were saying. I just meant the one benign thing. All right. It's now time for What Are You Playing This Week, a part of the podcast where Jeremiah only does freelance work while he wraps it up and stares wistfully as his friends enjoy games. James, what are you playing? James, you bought a Vita?
I bought a Vita.
Why?
I wanted it mostly for remote play.
All right. Okay, that's a good reason.
I mean, I have kids, and that just...
There's the old excuse.
Just makes sense to have something where they don't fight over the TV.
Yeah.
I bought it at a pawn shop.
Oh, okay.
So they're like $160 at GameStop, although power to the player. So they had it for $90, and I'm like, okay, it looks like the screen's maybe scratched. So I pulled it out, and there was a screen protector on it. So literally, it looks like the screen had never been touched.
Nice.
So, and then it had a Call of Duty disc in there. And then it had a 32 gig memory card.
Man, they really didn't put a lot of effort.
Yeah, they didn't put a lot of effort looking through this. I'm like, yeah, I'll take it.
How much did you pay for it?
$90.
Ooh.
So
I mean, that's not a bad deal.
So the memory card's like half that price.
So what have you been playing besides Call of Duty?
I haven't been playing that much. I played a little bit more of Fallout 4. I started Far Harbor.
On what platform?
PS4.
Okay, so you're remote playing that?
No, Well, I literally just bought that like on the drive home tonight.
Oh, okay.
Vita.
You-
Remember,
if the
Jeremiah-
camera pans, James is actually dealing with someone right now.
I did take a nap right before and during the podcast. Remember,
That's true.
so there's not much time in between to try that. Yeah, I think that's all I've been playing this
Cool.
week.
Dave, what about you?
I was out for a week, so I'm playing a bit of catch up. I did beat Gone Home. I played it in almost one run. Really enjoyed it. I love story-based exploring games. There's always the argument like, oh, that's not a real game, and why couldn't it just be like a block?
The ending is like, okay, that was not what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed that game too. There was just something about searching through drawers and like, looking for secret passageways is just appealing.
It was interesting because it was like a mixture of like a coming of age story, and then like kind of like a kids movie where there's like a cool old house that like they build a clubhouse in, or like you're exploring. There was a mixture of that, and then just kind of unraveling a mystery. Even though at the ending was just kind of like, okay, here's the very small piece of the puzzle that you were missing, and it's like you knew where it was going. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I did accidentally tab out with like less than a half hour left of the 2 hours it took me to beat it, and it has no save apparently, and I could not tab back in. I had to Control-Alt-Delete the game, and then I watched the last 20 minutes on YouTube. So thank you, YouTube, for your Let's Plays. To the random person who uploaded a no commentary playthrough with the exact same search style that I had, which was everything in order, for helping me finish the game. I was like, I can't do like the first hour and a half again. I was right at the end. But yeah,
we should start playing games for each other, Dave. Like, you pick a game and I'll pick a game, and I'll just play. Since we both explore the same way, which is just like, what's here.
This could work. I'm taking a short Watch Dogs break. I haven't played it in over a week now. It's not clicking. I don't want to keep going until it starts to. I did buy Deus Ex today though. It was $17. So we'll see if I dive into that. Lots of Battlefield 1. Surprise, surprise. I cannot wait for the DLC. This game is like my lifeblood for the next couple of years.
Well, Dave, why don't we just take a little sidebar there? Battlefield 1, lots of fun. Talked about it plenty. Let's talk about our night the other night.
Let's not. I've already erased it from my memory.
You never want to talk about that?
It was an awful night. Jeremiah, I used the footage from that night. After you guys left, I played with Death Incarnate and my brother. And out of the probably 35 minutes of Shadowplay clips I was saved, I got 13 minutes of usable footage, and some of which I had to actually like edit the audio and like line up gunshots with other gunshots from other parts of the clip, because we were all just raging the entire time. So I get like a really cool like triple headshot with the bolt action. I've got to like line up shots from somewhere else in the clip because someone in the background's going, "Are you kidding me?" It was just one of those nights. It's rare, very rare in Battlefield 1, thankfully. And then Joel and I had a bit of that in. I played a bunch of PS4 games. I haven't been to my PS4 in a month. Oh, okay. My final story for what I've been playing. It's more of what I haven't been playing. My PS4 is cursed. I played some Last of Us and Rocket League with Joel last night, but first, I tried to join him in a group of 7 people, Joel, total?
It would be 8 people, including Dave.
With me, yeah, seven other people, to play a match of Last of Us, and my PS4 had updates, then the game had updates, then I was logged out of PSN because of the updates. And the entire time, like, they're all like in a lobby waiting for me. Then we had to add the party leader as friends. That took about 5 minutes. And then we had to do party invites. And then we had to do in-game party invites. And then finally I got entered into the lobby. Everyone's like, "Oh, there's Evil Viking." I pop up as the 8th member of the lobby. And this is after almost 30 minutes of trying to get into the lobby to play the game. Almost 30 minutes. Like, we're approaching Arma mod levels of, like, delay for starting the game. My name appears in the lobby, and then instantly disappears, and it pops up, "You've been disconnected from the lobby."
Yeah, I was like, join, disconnected, join, disconnected, join, disconnected.
We spent about 35 minutes in total before we just realized that apparently Last of Us does not allow 8 people in a party, only 7.
But
it was so
But
weird.
it's 2 teams of 4, though.
I know, it was so weird.
Don't ask.
I think it just might have been just a glitch. Who knows?
But, dude, my PS4 experiences have to be some of the worst. I know it's not how it's supposed to be and how it is for most people. I know it's unlucky, but it is how it is. I can't explain it. It's always so terrible.
Yeah, and then his headset was only having chat go out the left ear for some reason. And I was like, do you have like a regular headset? Like, do you have a special one? He's like, no, it says sports on PS4. I don't know.
It was stereo when I used it a month ago. And like the game audio was stereo, but Joel and all the people in the chat were just in my left ear the whole time. I can't explain that. Science can't explain that.
All right, Joel, what about you? What you been playing? What's up, Joel?
Uh-oh.
James, what are you doing?
I'm sorry.
He's whimpering.
I never should have looked.
He's
I never should have looked.
whimpering.
James and I have just been watching a lot of Willy Wonka lately.
What?
I told Jeremiah today that I was really sad because I realized you can't buy Wonka bars anywhere. Like nowhere. They don't sell them anymore. And I was really sad because I was listening to Willy Wonka music and I was like, man, I want a golden ticket. But I went on Amazon. You can only buy Wonka bar cases, like literally just the sleeve.
Oh,
I was really, really sad. Yeah. Anyways, what I've been playing.
Wait, no. So what was all the laughing for? I'm very confused.
I cannot share.
Do you remember? Okay. Do you remember Joel's nickname from last week?
No.
Really?
Move on. Move on.
No, what was his nickname?
I'm not saying that live.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyways,
right.
I've been playing Resident Evil VR. I'm now almost 8 hours in. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And I have just a short story about it. Jonah came over, my brother. He just wanted to check it out a little bit. He was in the area. And he was watching me play for a good 20 minutes just on the 2D screen. And then I was like, here you go. Here, you try. I got to an area where I was like, you can just explore a little bit. He was just like, oh, okay. I can see why this takes a lot longer in VR. There's just something like, oh, okay, yeah. All right, takes it off. He's like, okay, yeah, my heart's racing. It was great. Yeah, I'm playing that. It's absolutely freaking mind blowing. And then I played again what Dave was talking. We were playing a little bit of Last of Us party chat mode, and we played Rocket League.
We had a good armor mission on Monday. Not the mission that we wanted to do. There was a ghost somewhere in the machine, as sometimes happens, and we had to bail out and do another mission. I played 1 hour of Battlefield, and
It was a sad hour too.
yeah, it wasn't even worth it. I wish I just worked, as bad as that sounds. And that's it. That's absolutely it. So next, it's time for the news.
News time.
Oh, I was gonna wait. You best believe it. First news item: VR headsets. It's been a while, or we haven't really known many sales figures, and it's very interesting because you would expect to hear more companies bragging about them unless their stuff didn't sell that well. But we actually have some pretty compelling sales figures now. And let me see. Super data. Joel, what are you doing?
I'm really sorry. I didn't even look at anything. It just popped up my phone.
All right, that'll hold up in court. So anyway, VR headsets. Super data estimates that 4.5 million Samsung Gear VRs were sold through last year. To be fair, there were a lot of promos in there where you could get like a free one along with certain Galaxy phones and stuff. So it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't like every. Have you used yours much?
Not that much.
That was me. That was our assumption earlier today. Probably it's like, oh, that's a cool bonus, and then, you know. What have you done with it that's been good?
I bought Minecraft just to try out. Christian
Again.
cool. Yeah, I've bought Minecraft so many times I don't even want to talk about it.
More than Fallout?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's estimated that that Gear VR sold about 4.5 million units. Google's Daydream sold about 260,000 units. Oculus Rift somewhere in the 200,000 units, and the Vive a little bit over 400,000 units. And the Vive is also being sold. I don't know about Oculus, but I know at least Vive is being sold to plenty of like developers, and it's being used for, I would say, scientific reasons purely, but it's being used for non-gaming applications. Like a lot of these Samsung Gears are also being used for non-gaming applications. It's a pretty safe assumption that all the PlayStation VRs are being used for almost entirely gaming applications, and then Oculus Rifts are mostly being sold to pay lawsuit money.
Yeah, are they going to be profitable in the next?
We were talking about this
few
today.
years?
I would be very surprised if Facebook doesn't dump them. Like they had to sell. They sold headsets at a loss, didn't they? Because they had to fill all those Kickstarter backing things, and then they had the second most popular PC headset in a market of 2, and then they have this $500 million lawsuit. So.
That's my news item. Don't spoil it.
Oh, I'm sorry. From what I can tell, people do like the Oculus. Like, it seems to be people who own it. It's not a bad headset by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Just it doesn't appear to be hanging in there. But the takeaway from all that is that VR is selling well. We don't know if VR is going to last. It could be another 3D. You never know. It's too early to say. But it seems like early sales, at least, are pretty strong and things are working out well. So I think that's great. Hopefully they all continue to sell well. After this, I need to go do some Googling and find out what all can you do with a Samsung Gear VR, because there's a lot more of them out there than I would have assumed. But yeah, I think that's cool.
For me, the Gear VR was the most fun of it was showing other people what VR was like that had never seen it. Other than that, it was very novelty.
I mean,
but again, it was free. So
yours, though, yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, what did you do with it?
It's been sitting in a storage bin.
When you used it, what did you use that? Like,
I tried like Netflix. It looked cool to see what it looked like if you had like a 50-foot screen or whatever. They have a lot of like, I don't remember what service it was, but they had some music videos that you could like actually look around. It was kind of cool. There was one by Muse where you're like live in the music video, and it was literally just novelty. I tried a few of the games, and it was just like, okay, that's fun. But I could see some people getting into it, but I don't play that many games on my phone anyway. So.
Okay. Joel, what are your news items?
Should we do Dave's news item next, since you already kind of spoiled
That's
it?
actually true. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't see it in the list. I did actually.
No, this is my second news item. So anyway, jury awards $500 million to Zenimax in lawsuit against Oculus VR. $500 million. The case revolved around a non-disclosure agreement signed by Oculus co-founder Palmer Luckey. He signed it with Zenimax. And the jury said that, yeah, you broke your non-disclosure agreement. And they gave, it was $200 million for breaking the NDA, $50 million for copyright infringement, and $50 million for false designation. And then the Oculus co-founder and former CEO, Brendan Irib, was ordered to pay $150 million for false designation as well. That's... wow. Like,
Good times.
It's one of those things, like, those are big numbers. I know it's a business, but I still feel like those are big numbers for a business, too.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know how does that work for paying out? Because I was reading there was a couple books I was reading that had like parts of like stuff like this in it that, it was a fiction book, but I was just looking up a little bit afterwards because kind of confusing. But I heard that some of them kind of like end up being where you get payouts for a certain amount of time over a long period of time too. So it's like you're not paying like 500 million
it's like
straight, like a straight check. Yeah, but
it's like
who
a tax
knows?
on
But
you for
still,
life.
that's a huge hit, and they have not been getting any good PR for Oculus. Where it's like that's not good. That's not helping whatsoever. So it sucks for I think the teams that are working on it that have nothing to do with any of this crap that's going on. I'm sure they're just working on it and like VR. So hopefully things can kind of turn around for them or whatever, because that sucks. But I wonder if it'd be interesting if you see some of these people like going over to Vive, some of the like actual engineers or whatever.
I know I can't imagine Oculus has even a fraction of that cost or a fraction of that cash on hand. I mean, I know Facebook is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, but that's market money. That's not how much money they have available to cash out.
That's not how much money they want to like give to Oculus to sort out their problems.
So I don't know. That's a stupid ordeal, but I mean, the original lawsuit was for like what, $2 billion, $4 billion. How much was it?
Yeah, it was pretty insane.
And you price it that high to try to get even a fraction of that money.
Nuts. But Dave, what was your other news article?
Lots of happy news. Crytek, more layoffs, more studio closures, selling off some studios, and employees apparently haven't gotten paid for December yet. That is just a rumor, the paychecks part, but Crytek has had like a rough 7 years here. It's been pretty bad.
And I don't think they haven't had a hit game for a long time.
Yeah.
Because Crysis 2 did pretty good, but Crysis 3 I don't think did very good. Whether or not it was a good game or not, it just didn't do very well. It didn't
sell, yeah. No. I think it was only 2 years after Crysis 2, and it was a lot of
it felt really quick. It felt like a really fast turnaround.
I love the beta. I bought the final game and played some with Jeremiah, but it was like a year after it came out, and everyone was like level 99, and things happened to us in that game. We never played it after that.
We played the beta, and I remember we really liked it. It was one of those.
The beta was great.
Yeah, we'll get back to this, and then we hopped in so far after the fact. It was just one of those. Oh well, that's our bad.
It doesn't help though that all the games that use the Crytek engine were, I would say, mostly financial flops.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything.
Really?
I mean, Star
Citizen is not a financial flop. It's not out yet.
It's not out yet, but
they've made
it may never be out.
Yeah, but financially, they've made $130 million. They'd be the most profitable if they just quit now.
Star Citizen also is no longer using CryEngine.
Really?
The Amazon engine that just came out last year is a branch that they bought from CryEngine.
I didn't know
Star
that.
Citizen swapped to that because it was a very easy swap because the Amazon engine is a version of CryEngine, like a new branch.
Huh.
And apparently Star Citizen had not gotten a new build of CryEngine for like 3 or 4 years. And then Amazon says, hey, we have a version of this engine that should be very compatible with your game you're making. And it turned out it was, and it took them like a month to do the swap. So it's not old CryEngine anymore. It's
Only
Amazon
took them
engine.
a month to get it. Man, someone ought to go talk to.
Well, they bought an engine. They didn't build an engine. And
It's like a great idea too. Sorry. I'm done being salty.
I mean, if someone had bought Bohemia's engine and then spent 3 or 4 years making it into a new engine, the Bohemia's like, hey, can we buy that? That's basically what happened.
All right, Joel, what are your news items?
Well, first, it's just a quick update. Last week, I was saying that there were 76,000 VR people playing Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just in 1 week, it jumped to 20,000 more. Now
they heard your review on the podcast.
They did, yeah, all 20,000 of them. Where are you guys when we say, hey, you won a game on our podcast, and then they never email
Joel, what
back.
you're really saying is, where are you when we're like, hey guys, if you know a trash man.
Yeah, that's true. When you know a trash man.
It really helps us out if you know a trash man.
You call yourself a fan of Casual Shenanigans.
And you don't know a trash man.
Where's your trash man?
Yeah. But I thought that's cool. 20,000 a week. I hope it keeps going up more and more. Again, these are only stats for just people who have logged in. So And you said there was like what 1 point something million PSVR sold or something like that.
As far as we know, in 2016, about
so
a million.
if that's true, so
yeah,
that's 10% of people that are logged into the server. So that's cool, and I hope that really helps out VR games as a whole. Okay, really first thing in news relating to PSVR, Sony finally came out and answered just a little bit about like, why are PSVR so hard to kind of find? They've been sold out every single time they get any stock.
They're like,
anywhere.
well, we sat down with Nintendo and we're like, hey guys, how do we have a successful product launch? And they were like, listen to us.
Well, speaking with games industry, the executives confirmed that we expected all along the organization's measured approach has always been due to supply issues. We kind of knew that demand would outstrip supply, so we had to be careful ourselves not to overhype the product. That was kind of tricky to do because at the same time, we also had a responsibility to let the mass market knew that there was actually a viable and affordable VR new entrant. So we had to be clever in the ways that we did that. They decided to go underground with the product's marketing in the UK as opposed to going crazy with a big television campaign. He continued, one of the more clever things that I think we did was the installation of a giant PlayStation VR headset at King's Cross Station that gained a lot of media attention. He says, the good news is that Light expects things to change as the supply issue is slowly resolved. As we address this supply issue, we will be able to go out with a lot more mainstream messaging on virtual reality. And I was curious, people have been seeing lots of Facebook ads for it. And I went on Facebook and I did like unblocked ads and stuff like that. And there's been a lot of PlayStation VR ads, like ones with like Batman games and stuff like that. And this guy like going into the floor and stuff. So apparently they're starting to roll out commercials and stuff. So it sounds like, if it's true, that it sounds like they just were, it sounds like they were very leery if it's going to do well, and they did not put a lot of units out there at the start. So now I think they're catching up. So I think as opposed to where Nintendo was dumb, not realizing that a freaking NES could sell a crap load. And did you see the stats, James, on how many were sold? It was like 1.2 million or something like that. It was a lot of those little NES classics.
Mm-hmm.
They could have sold easily 5 times that amount if they actually had some. Because I'm like,
it was only 200,000 in the U.S.
Yeah,
and I imagine the demand for it was easily 10 times that.
And then my other little piece of news is Dirt Rally VR comes out on the 17th of February.
Is that for every platform?
It's already out on PC. It's already out on Steam.
Oh,
like you can play
okay.
VR on Steam, but PlayStation specifically. So I'm like, yes.
And is it just a patch for the existing game, or do you have to do anything?
There is a whole new box release. I think it might be I'm not sure. The website that's saying this is I think Australian. I'm not. What is this? I don't know. I can't understand the language.
Australian?
Yeah, that's
you said it. I'm just making sure I understand what you're saying.
Dutch. It's Dutch.
Were you thinking Austrian?
Austrian. There we go. Sorry.
Thank you, Lloyd Christmas.
I know. Yeah. Thanks.
Shrimp on the bobby.
Shrimp on the bobby. Yeah, totally F that up. Anyways, I think it might be a possible like $20 DLC. That's what I've heard, but I don't know if it's confirmed.
That's
yet.
a hefty.
Know. Yeah, that'd be a hefty DLC.
But it's the entire thing in VR, so.
But it's like a separate version. I mean, it'd be nice if it was just like a patch.
I think it's like a DLC add-on to the game essentially, but it's the entire game.
Interesting.
That's all I have.
Cool. Any more news? I don't think we had any more. It is now time for 90 Seconds with Joel. Part of the podcast where Joel does something. Joel, what do you have for us this week on the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast?
Another great page of Chimera. Just kidding. No, not that again, please.
I'm blind.
Well, I told Jeremiah early in the warm-up that since I'm working on a ton of videos right now to help pay for sound design stuff right now, I just don't know when I'll be able to work on the sound version of the radio drama. But I have written the next piece, and I just want to freaking finish this out, or at least talk about this, and then just tell you my idea, and then just be done with it at least. What I was planning. So I'll just read it for you guys live. Now, to you guys, do you even remember what was happening the last 2 hours?
No, of course not.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. Because I was gonna say, if you guys knew, I'd be like,
They just went through the blackness, right?
What's that?
Didn't he just go through the?
Yeah, James, you're very close. So the last episode was this guy who basically got brought into this facility, goes down this elevator, and over this giant radio or like speaker, basically is told to hook himself up to this device. And in this device, he feels like he's floating, and he's floating through his blackness, basically. And he comes upon the outside of this giant box. And that's essentially where the person from the first episode was stuck inside this room with no wall or no doors and everything. And so he basically makes contact, and the person inside the box, his name is Todd. So we don't know the person who's floating through blackness. We don't know his name yet. But that's where that's where the story continues. Okay, so this is part 3. This is much harder to do live because you're making me laugh. I'll try to do serious. The Room, part 3.
What's your sound effects?
Sound effects.
We should all help Joel
It
along.
starts off 1 year earlier. The room they sat in.
No,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, come on.
All
I
right.
watched Lost. 1 year earlier. The room they sat in was dimly lit, and the walls were made of some sort of highly advanced metal-looking material. 2 young men, one whose name was Todd and the other Philip. 2 guards... Dave, you get a smirk. 2 guards stood with their backs to the walls, watching the 2... now I'm just kidding. Turning into Chimera.
2 guards had their backs against the wall. There was nowhere to run.
Why are you doing
right.
this to him?
I'm just going to close your guys' window for a second. 2 guards stood with their backs to the walls watching the 2 young men. A series of locking mechanisms sounded, followed by a high-ranking military official stepping in through the door. Behind them, the door locked once again. Dave. Shut up.
Zip.
He stepped closer towards
Yeah, you definitely made the right call here, buddy.
He stepped closer towards the 2 young men.
Is this Chimera? It is.
and sat down in a seat opposite them. It's taken a very long time to track you down. Too long, in fact.
You're almost no longer at the perfect age, he said.
This is not going as I planned. We have spent a great deal of money and resources to find you 2. You are all that is left. We have dealt with your friends the same way your parents were. But you already knew all this, don't you? He eyed the 2 young men and smiled sarcastically. This ends tonight. You've had your fun, but it's over now. He leaned forward in his chair towards them. Give me the key now. Todd spoke up first. You know we can't. Of course, said the military official. We gave you a chance to join us last time. This time is different. Guards. The 2 guards moved forward and without wasting a moment grabbed Philip and kicked him to the ground. Wait, stop it, Todd yelled. One of the guards pulled out 2 metallic devices.
2? Oh no. Not
put-
2.
And said, we got to tackle this problem from both ends.
and put each of them into his hands. The other
Sorry, what do you put into his hands?
guys.
shit. The other guard held Philip locked and unable to move. Damn it, I'm running Chimera. While the other guard held these 2 devices up to his head and activated it.
Okay.
Then what
head.
happened?
Okay. A pulsing sound could be heard, and immediately Philip began to scream. Stop it, Todd yelled again. Give me the key and I'll spare your brother's life. Okay, just stop it and I'll tell you. Oh no, I'm not stopping until I have the key.
Oh, no. No.
Your father taught you very well. And we know for certain that he passed on the information he stole from us and gave it to you. Philip was screaming louder.
As the guard, what?
As the guard pushed the metallic device harder into the sides of his temples. Damn it! This reminds me so much of how your father died. Although I do believe oh! What did I write? Although I do believe I'm enjoying this much more.
Your father was too old. Not right. Not perfect.
Stop it, you
Not as
bastard.
supple as
Todd
you.
screamed at the man.
I think Joel's screaming at us.
Shit! I actually hope you don't give in. This delights me in a way that his words trailed off into a sardonic smile.
This delights me.
Philip was writhing in pain. His feet were kicking out from underneath him now. The screaming was deafening. If you kill him, you'll lose the key. I'm sorry, not enough, the military official said sternly. No, you don't understand. If he dies, the key is lost. We both contain half of it. Guards! Immediately the guards stop the device, and the pulsing sound goes away. The guard lets Philip go, and he drops to the floor hard. He is coughing up bits of blood. Philip, are you okay? I will have the guards continue unless you tell me what the key is right now. Okay, Todd said slowly as he knelt down to help his brother up. The official pulled out his sidearm and pointed directly at Philip. No more delaying. You have 10 seconds. He began to count. I said I'd give it to you. Give me a moment, Todd pleaded. 9. Todd looked at his brother's eyes were halfway rolled back inside his head. He looked barely conscious. I can't count.
You can't count?
I just wrote again. 9. I didn't notice this. I wrote this quick. Come on. I have to, Philip. Todd to his brother.
The guard said 9. Philip says, I think we can just sneak out of here. I don't think he knows what's going on.
8. It's the only way. 7. Philip's eyes looked up at his brother, and Todd could hear a faint whisper come from his mouth. Don't. 6. Goodbye, Philip. All of a sudden, Todd's eyes rolled into the back of his head, and his entire body went limp. He fell onto the ground beside his brother, completely unconscious. The military official stopped his counting, walked over to Todd's lifeless body. What just happened? He grabbed Todd and shook him vigorously. What did he do? He yelled at Philip. The military official slapped Todd in the face several times, trying to wake him from whatever just happened. You'll never find it now, Philip told the man, a slight grin showing on his face. This only makes it worse for you. I will find what I am looking for. You have no idea what my brother is capable of, Philip told the man. But we still have you, and that is all I need right now. I don't care how long it takes. I've searched for it my entire life. I can wait a little longer. The official stood up and spoke to the guards. Secure Todd in the holding cell. He turned to face Philip. My job during the war wasn't to create soldiers. It was to turn them against themselves. By the time I am done with you, you will do everything I ask of you and more. Take him away and begin immediately. Philip was grabbed by the officers and hauled away. He took one last look at his brother lying on the ground, completely void of life. He forced his mind to remember his face, to remember his brother's voice, to remember what he had done, for he knew the next time he would see his brother, he would have no memory of him. The doors closed behind them as they hauled Philip out of the room and left the military official by himself with a lifeless body on the ground. He knelt down on the ground and whispered into his ear, I know you can hear me. You cannot hide forever. I will see you soon. The end. Chimera, Part 2.
I appreciate all the
How
work
young
you-
were the men, Joel? How young were the men?
They were young.
Okay.
I appreciate all the work you put into that, and I'm very sorry you had to read it for us. Well, what is there to say after that?
I don't know. I mean,
Except it's time for the comment of the week, the part of the show where one of us digs into the comment section and brings you some delectable goodies. Now, this week I released a Q&A video on my channel because it's been 2 years of the Potato Masher project, and I figured, like, I did that last year. I got, like, I don't know, 15 questions or something. It was pretty fun. I was like, hey, I'll do it again this year. Well, this year I got, like, 50 or 60 questions and ended up answering about 40 of them. But I did it on a webcam, which, you know, like I do every week on the podcast here, use a webcam. Well, a lot of people were very interested in the fact that I sounded different. I don't know. I don't know how you'd say that. Or no, sorry, I sounded different than they thought I'd look. And when they saw me, there were some weird comments. Here are just a sampling of them. Oh, holy blank. This is my first time seeing your face. So beautiful. And a lot more handsome than I expected. Don't know why I expected a 40-something fat dude, but keep up the good work. And there were quite a few comments along those lines. Apparently, given the subject matter and I guess how my voice sounds, a lot of people were expecting like a typical internet neckbeard. And I mean, I would say I'm tall, but on camera, like I that doesn't look like anything. I'd say if I'm being modest, or I'm being not modest, I'm on the better side of average. I don't know. I don't put a lot of effort into my appearance, but apparently I look a lot better than somebody who typically makes gaming videos comparing consoles on the internet. I don't know. It was very, very weird. Like, you think 1 or 2 people would say something, but it was like 10 or 15 people felt the need to point out that I didn't look like a cave troll.
You need to work harder at that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's a compliment to cave trolls. I mean, they can seriously make legit technical content.
All right, I'm not even...
We've been seriously undervaluing cave trolls.
Well, Joel, you and Dave got the same thing when you made the Fallout videos together.
I think most of theirs were like, are you guys dating? You're having fun together and you're boys.
That's a weird voice, Jeremiah. That's one voice I don't like you doing.
I don't really do.
Creepy.
I honestly don't know what voice I just did. I don't really do voices.
Yeah, it was like Valley Girl, Valley Boy. I don't know.
Valley
friends
Boy.
having fun together.
Are you guys together because you're having fun together?
Oh my God.
Like men
Now,
having fun.
Joel, would that be like a young Valley man, like a young man?
If you were thinking about the age, like what age would you say would be like ideal?
Yeah.
In this case,
Perfect, even like.
I will not say.
Oh, secrets. Joel, you can't keep secrets from your lover.
Must we?
You just did.
Well, I feel like the podcast has run out of steam for this week. Like usual, we're all gonna look away from each other and jump off this call as quickly as we can and then pretend it didn't happen when next week rolls around. But thank you everybody for coming out and being a part of the show. As always, you can write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com to be a part of the show. You can tweet at casualshenanigans. We have a website. We have a repository where you can download any of the previous audio podcasts, and that is in the description of this video, along with other important links. As always, if you like the show, consider rating us on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you all for your support. Thanks for coming out. Thank you for being a part of the show. And as always, stay casual.